What if Anakin Skywalker fell in love with Ahsoka Tano? The war was a forge, and it tempered bonds in ways the Jedi Code never anticipated. For Anakin Skywalker and his Padawan, Ahsoka Tano, the forge was especially intense. They had faced death together on 100 worlds. Their trust in each other absolute. Their connection in the Force a seamless, fluid thing that often left Obi-Wan Kenobi feeling like a third wheel. The shift was not a lightning strike, but a slow, inevitable sunrise. It began with small things. The fierce, protective rage Anakin felt when she was threatened was no longer just that of a master for his apprentice. It was deeper, more personal. The joy he felt in her laughter was brighter. The quiet moments aboard the Resolute, reviewing battle strategies, became the highlights of his days. He found himself seeking her counsel not just on tactics, but on his own fears, his frustrations with the Council, things he would never share with anyone else, not even Obi-Wan. He tried to bury it, to cloak it in the familiar guise of mentorship and camaraderie. The Code forbade it. It was wrong, but the war had already eroded so many of the Order's old certainties. What was one more? For Ahsoka, the feelings were just as confusing, but more terrifying. He was her master, her hero, the man who believed in her when no one else did. The gratitude and admiration she felt began to curdle into something warmer, something that made her heart beat faster when he smiled at her. She too pushed it down, attributing it to the intensity of combat, to the unique bond of a Jedi pair. The catalyst was the Battle of Umbara, trapped in the cloying darkness, surrounded by mist and death. They were separated from the Five First. Anakin took a blaster bolt meant for her, the shot grazing his temple and knocking him unconscious. Ahsoka dragged him into a muddy cave, fending off Umbaran patrols with a desperation born of pure terror. Not the fear of a Padawan for her master, but the fear of a woman for the man she loved. As he lay unconscious, she used her limited healing skills, her hands trembling as they brushed his face. When he finally stirred, his blue eyes foggy with pain, he saw the raw, unchecked worry on her face. He saw the tears she hadn't realized she was shedding. "Snips?" he murmured, his voice weak. "You're okay." The relief that washed over her was so powerful it broke the last of her defenses. "I thought I lost you," she whispered, her voice cracking. He reached up, his glove wiping a tear from her cheek. The gesture was too intimate, too tender. The air in the cave crackled with unspoken truth. They both felt it. The line had been crossed. They didn't speak of it. They couldn't. But from that moment on, everything was different. The war continued to rage around them, but they now existed in a private world of stolen glances, hands that brushed for a moment too long, and a connection in the Force that hummed with a new, forbidden frequency. The darkness of the war made the light they found in each other feel all the more vital. They were each other's sanctuary. It was Padme Amidala who first saw it. During a brief diplomatic meeting on Coruscant, she watched Anakin and Ahsoka together. She saw the way his entire being leaned toward her, the way his often guarded eyes softened when he looked at her. She saw the easy, comfortable intimacy between them, something she and Anakin had to snatch in secret. A profound sadness settled in her heart. She loved Anakin, but theirs was a relationship built in the shadows. What he had with Ahsoka was built in the light of day, forged in fire and mutual respect. She knew then that she was losing him. The true crisis came with the fallout from the bombing of the Jedi Temple hangar, when Ahsoka was falsely accused and expelled from the Jedi Order. Anakin's reaction was not just that of a righteous master, it was a consuming volcanic fury. He tore the galaxy apart to find the truth for her, not for the sake of the Order, but for her. For the woman he could not bear to see wronged. When she stood trial, his testimony was not the calm, logical account of a Jedi Knight. It was the passionate, desperate defense of a man pleading for the life of his beloved. The Council saw it. Everyone in the chamber saw it. The truth was laid bare. And when the Council, in its ultimate failure, offered her a hollow apology and asked her to return, Ahsoka's decision to walk away was not just a rejection of the Order. It was a choice made for him as much as for herself. She couldn't return to the temple and live a lie beside him every day. The temptation, the pain would be too great. Anakin found her in the temple hangar, her back to him, ready to walk into the unknown. "Ahsoka, wait, please." His voice was raw with a pain that went far beyond losing a Padawan. She turned and her eyes were full of the same agony. "I can't, Anakin. Don't you see? I can't stay. Not after this. Not with how I feel." It was the closest they had ever come to saying it aloud. The words hung between them, a confession and a farewell. He wanted to argue, to beg her to stay, to tell her that they could figure it out, but he saw the resolve in her eyes. She was saving them both. She was preventing a scandal that would destroy him and forcing them onto a path that, for now, had no future. He let her go. It was the hardest thing he had ever done. Her absence left a void in him that nothing could fill. His marriage to Padmé, already strained by secrecy and the war, became a ghost of what it once was. He threw himself into the war with a reckless fury that frightened even Obi-Wan. He was trying to outrun the ache in his heart. This profound personal loss became the final crack in his spirit that Palpatine expertly exploited. The Chancellor's manipulations took on a new, cruel dimension. "You let her go, my boy," Palpatine would sigh, feigning sympathy. "You did the honorable thing the Jedi demanded. And what did it bring you? Emptiness, pain. The Jedi Code doesn't care about your heart, Anakin. It only cares about its own preservation. It took her from you, just as it threatens to take Senator Amidala. They demand you sacrifice everything you love on the altar of their cold, useless dogma." The seeds of resentment found fertile ground. His love for Ahsoka, twisted by Palpatine, became his primary motivation for seeking power, not to save Padmé, but to create a galaxy where he would never have to lose someone he loved again, where he would have the power to bring Ahsoka back to his side, on his own terms. When the moment of truth came in the Chancellor's office, Palpatine's offer was tailored perfectly. "Imagine it, Anakin," the Sith Lord whispered. "With my teachings, you won't have to be a slave to their rules. You can have the power to create a new order, a better one. You can have her back. You can have everything you want. No more sacrifices, no more loss." It was the ultimate temptation, the chance to undo his greatest regret. Anakin's fall was not just about fear for Padmé. It was a twisted, desperate act of love for Ahsoka. He became Darth Vader not just to save a life, but to reclaim a life he had lost. He hunted the Jedi with a particular fervor, but he always had one goal in mind: find Ahsoka. He believed that once she saw the new order he was building, once she saw the power he wielded to keep them safe, she would understand. She would join him. Their eventual confrontation on Malachor was not a clash between a Sith Lord and a former Jedi. It was a tragedy of Shakespearean proportions. Ahsoka faced not just her former master, but the monstrous, distorted reflection of the love they had once shared. His offer to her was not to rule the galaxy, but to rule it with him. "Ahsoka," Vader's mechanized voice boomed, but beneath the distortion there was a terrifying echo of Anakin's yearning. "You were right to leave them. They were corrupt, weak. Together we can destroy the Emperor. We can rule the galaxy and make it the way we want it to be. We can be together, like we were always meant to be." Ahsoka's heart shattered. She saw the horrible truth. His fall, the galaxy's nightmare, had been fueled in part by his love for her. Her leaving, an act meant to protect him, had been the final push into the abyss. "I won't leave you again," she whispered, not as a promise to join him, but as a vow to stay and fight the monster he had become. Her words were a final, heartbreaking epitaph for the love that had, in the end, helped destroy them both. Their duel was not about victory, it was about anguish. It was the sound of a beautiful, forbidden love finally curdling into its most dark and devastating form.